Is Jalen Carter now an option at the number 13 pick?
Inside, and a beauty! Hall, let it free! Brees Hall inside the 10, he's gonna score!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and we've got to talk about something that's very, very interesting in Jalen Carter. But before we get to that, a quick word from our sponsors. Today's episode of Talking Jets with Tigo is brought to you by you guys. Yep, you heard me, right? All of the people who are members of the Talking Jets with Tigo Navy help support this channel, and I really, really appreciate it. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can really help the channel and get a bunch of cool emotes when we go live every single Friday. Click the join button down below to find out more information if you want to do that. It is all greatly appreciated, but let's get into today's video. Alrighty, boys and girls. As you know, Jalen Carter is the best player in this draft, head and shoulders the best player in this upcoming draft. And it's not even close. It's not close. He is so much better than every other prospect in this class by a long shot. Now, what we can talk about is this. We know about all of the things that are going on with Jalen Carter. If you don't, here's a quick recap. He was, in my opinion, as of a couple of weeks ago, the first player that should be taken off the board not playing the quarterback position. I thought he was going to go either to the Chicago Bears if they stuck and picked at 1, or if they traded out of 1, which they ended up doing, he should go to the Arizona Cardinals at 3. Well, reports came out during the Combine that he was part of, and part of is very loosely held here, he was part of a wreck that took the lives of one of his teammates at Georgia and one of his coaches at Georgia. Now, to put it into perspective, they were racing. The cars never collided. They never did anything. He never actually touched the other vehicle, causing them to go off the road and crash, and for the two gentlemen to lose their lives. They were racing, though, when the other car lost control and the two gentlemen lost their lives. He fled from the scene, came back, lied to the police, and then immediately, when they got to the police station, went back on the lie and told the truth. Now, in the state of Georgia where he was being charged, that is 2 misdemeanor crimes that he was being charged with. And as of, I think it was like yesterday or 2 days ago, he pled no contest to the misdemeanors, is getting 80 hours of community service. I believe it's a $1,000 fine. He has to go to driving school, and he's getting 1 year of probation. So the legal stuff has all been taken care of. But the problem is that he didn't inform teams that he was going through this stuff at the Combine when they were doing the meetings. So that's a big question mark. So he started plummeting down boards. Now, when that happened, I looked at it and I said, you know what? He probably still doesn't make it past Seattle at 5 or 6. But if he does, I feel like there's no way that he makes it out of the top 10. Well, he had his pro day a couple of days ago, and he showed 9 pounds overweight from when he measured at the Combine, I believe, to his pro day. He showed up 9 pounds overweight, and he couldn't finish his position drills. And so he's continuing to plummet down boards, and this poses a very interesting question. If Jalen Carter is there at 13, should the New York Jets take him? And the answer is abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely. Jalen Carter is the best player in this draft. And while the weight stuff that happened and not being able to go through his workouts and all that stuff is a concern, I think people are tending to forget that going through, a tragedy like that where he lost 2 people that were really, really close to him in an accident that, he was essentially a part of, is traumatizing. And you take into the fact that he's going through all of this legal stuff and the draft process all at the same time. For a young man, that's a very difficult thing to go through. That's a lot of things. And to expect him to go through all of these meetings and all of these lawyer stuff and to stay working out and to stay in shape, I think is a bit crazy. Now, ultimately, if he's there at 13, I would take him at 13. I think he is absolutely worth the number 13 pick. He would be insane. I think he's worth the number 3 pick. And I think that some of this stuff is getting blown out of proportion just a little bit. And ultimately, I don't think he has any character concerns. And we've seen the Jets be in the past take guys that have some of these pseudo character concerns, and it works out. One of the Jets' favorite players, and I mean Jets fandom favorite players, is Michael Clemens. And people like to forget that when he was at Texas A&M, he got arrested for bringing a registered firearm onto campus. That's a character concern right there. Again, just because a guy has some issues doesn't mean that he's undraftable and that he's going to be a problem for the culture. Your culture needs to be strong enough, and your locker room needs to be strong enough to turn bad character people into good character people. If not, your locker room isn't really strong. It is actually very weak, and people are putting on fake smiles. And that's not what we want. We want a truly strong and powerful locker room that can take a rookie, humble him, and make him become a part of the answer and stop him from being a part of the problem. So if Jalen Carter is there at 13, the New York Jets should do everything in their power to go and get him. And he is actually the only player in this draft that if he makes it to a certain spot in the draft, I might even consider moving up to go get him. He is that good. And defensive tackle is absolutely a need for this team. I understand that we need an offensive tackle. I understand that we need a linebacker. I understand that some of you think that we should draft a safety. I understand that we need a center. I get all of that. But Jalen Carter is so good at his position as defensive tackle, and lining him up next to Quinnen Williams, the only option, honestly, that would be better than Jalen Carter next to Quinnen Williams, and I'm taking this right out of Paul Boy Green's mouth because I absolutely agreed with this take, and if you're not subscribed to Paul Boy Green, what are you doing? Go to my channel. He is in the linked channels down there. Go subscribe to him. He said the only other person that I would want in a perfect world lined up next to Quinnen Williams, not named Jalen Carter, is Aaron Donald. And I agree with that. There are a lot of guys in the NFL that I don't think are going to be as good as Jalen Carter. In last year's Georgia team, which we saw 4 or 5 of those guys go in the first round, he was the best player on that defense. If you can get Jalen Carter, you go get him, and you put your money where your mouth is, and you bet that your locker room is bigger and better than his attitude and his character concerns, because he's that good at football. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.